It's the Diamond K Show here on the all-new RadioOnFire.com, On Fire Television. Happy Monday to everybody. Welcome back to the program. This was one of those weekends. I mean, it just seems like, Friday comes and goes and the weekend, all of that turns over really quickly. Hope that everybody set their clocks back. I am feeling refreshed, energized, all from that extra hour of sleep. My goodness. Here on the program, we deliver the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with original reporting from across this country emanating from our studios in Baltimore and Atlanta. The show is fun, the show is upbeat, but I also want to expose what is really happening in this country. Radio on Fire is Black voices giving you the American story, and it is a hell of a story. New episodes of the show drop Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., but I don't want you to miss any of our live broadcasts in addition to the 8 a.m. program. We drop content throughout the day as news happens. Hit that notification bell so you get an alert whenever we go live. And you can also check us out on our Facebook page, the Diamond K Show Facebook page. Of course, RadioOnFire.com is the home for the program. And, a lot of things that I have on the list here to get into today. There was a tragedy that happened. The Travis Scott concert, the Astro World concert in Texas. We're going to talk about that. Odell Beckham Jr. released. A little bit of sports news there. In addition to that, we talked about this over the weekend. Aaron Rodgers and his lying about being vaccinated and just behaving irresponsibly. We're going to talk about that. Also, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We're going to talk about this murderer, this accused murderer, but murderer, exactly a murderer. The passing of the infrastructure bill by Democrats. We're going to talk about that. But we're also going to talk about Joe Biden and what kind of job he is doing. Is he doing a good job? We're going to talk about that. And did the Biden administration and Democrats, did they misread the country with regard to mandates, mask mandates, vaccine mandates? Did they misjudge the situation? And of course, Kanye West gave an extensive interview to Nori and the good folks over at Drink Champs. I want to talk a little bit about that. So much to get into. You want to send me a question, a comment. You can do that however you're watching, listening to the show. You can also send requests to read them on the air, booking requests, etc., etc. DJDiamondK@gmail.com. And of course, the Diamond K Show, sponsored by Flyers on Fire. If you need a flyer, Flyers on Fire can design your quality digital flyer in 24 hours. Are you promoting something on social media? Most people have, something to promote on social media. Flyers on Fire can help you brand your message with a quality flyer. Visit them on Instagram at Flyers on Fire. And of course, Radio on Fire is an advertiser-supported audio and video network. Get breaking news, podcasts, and TV shows covering topics that are important to our culture. Radio on Fire is where you go to discover, engage, and connect with the latest news, podcasts, and of course, original TV programs. I'm able to deliver our news and our views on this show because of our listeners and sponsors. Radio on Fire is powered by the people, and we appreciate your support. You want to support this digital network? You want to help the Diamond K Show? Head on over to RadioOnFire.com and grab a t-shirt or some other merch. Become a sponsor of the show for as little as $50. Now, speaking of sponsors, the Diamond K Show also sponsored by Tasty Moscato. If you could pour sexy into a glass, this would be it. This smooth, seductive Moscato wine blended with vanilla takes your palate to a whole nother level of taste. Unlike most, tasty Moscato can be deliciously paired with a variety of meats, cheeses, veggies, as well as desserts. It's the sweet taste of luxury that you've been craving, and you can get Tasty Moscato. Search them on Facebook or Instagram. Tasty Moscato. That is TASTETEE. Tasty Moscato. And they were sold out for a while, and it looks like they're going to be coming back in stock just in time for Thanksgiving. Tasty Moscato. Shout out to T. Marie and all of the good folks over at Tasty Moscato. The Baltimore Music Awards, 10th Annual Baltimore Music Awards, the winners have been announced, and you can check that out, radioonfire.com/Baltimore Music Awards. Congratulations to all of the winners. These folks were selected by the people. This is voting by the people. They do this every year. This is not something that is selected by the folks at the Baltimore Music Awards. The people actually vote on the finalists and the winners, all of that. So head on over to radioonfire.com/Baltimore Music Awards. So now we got some of that business stuff out of the way, we can get into so much news going on. And when you have a news cycle like what we've had in the last, I don't know, it just seems like every day is a big news day. Every day. So Democrats, I'm thinking, and I thought this early on, but Democrats could have misread the public on these vaccine and mask mandates. And Tuesday's election, those results really should have prompted some serious soul searching among Democrats. Really should prompt that. I mean, the party seemingly misread where folks are or where they are with regards to these mandates. And I'm talking about mask mandates and vaccine mandates. They could have misread this whole thing. The public's desire for sweeping change, that could be something that you can take from this. Now, you don't want to read too much into it, but at the same time, if you look at this from an introspective point, I mean, the party suffered some losses. It was a surprise in many instances, and I think that Democrats should pause and consider the agenda. And whether this agenda that they have been doing had anything to do with losses, and is it out of step? Is the Democratic Party out of step with the wider public? I would say yes. Now, Republicans, of course, they're excited. They're happy that Democrats are in this position. They have this stance, Republicans, that they're not going to help do anything, right? It was over a year ago that President Biden had a major victory over the former President Donald Trump. So anybody that can see has to sense that Trump is licking his paws and preparing for some type of return. And the way things are going, the way things are looking, he is going to do that. I think it's just a matter of time before he announces that he is going to run. Just a matter of time. Democrats also retook the Senate majority a little over a year ago. Victories in a pair of elections in Georgia, really sealed. Well, I guess that really sealed the deal. Now, I don't know how perceptive Democrats are. What I have seen is this willingness to fight in public. Now, we've talked about this. Joe Biden does not have the type of majority that President Obama had. Joe Biden does not have the type of majority that President Clinton had. He doesn't have that. So you gotta walk and act differently when your circumstances are different, and his circumstances are different. But at the same time, Joe Biden wants to come through this joint like he's Lyndon Baines Johnson, right? Like he's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Like he's got this mandate, and I think, yes, he's been in politics for a long time, but he's misreading the people. And what the people said and wanted a year ago is not what is needed right now. And I read on social media, a good friend of mine say that Trump's getting reelected, right? It is too soon to make that type of proclamation, because if we look back a year ago, who would have known that a year later Biden would be as unpopular as he is right now? Who would have known that? You don't know that. The tide can turn so quickly in politics. And that's what's happening. And I think that Joe Biden is, he's feeling the result of tides quickly changing. He thought he had all of this under control. He thought that he had his finger on the pulse of the American people because they were so frustrated with 4 years of Trump. But here, after 1 year of Biden, or almost 1 year of Biden, 1 year since he's been elected, 1 year since he won the election, right? And here we are. The economy was the biggest issue with voters, according to the exit polls last week. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Coming out of more than a year of shutdowns and mandates and uncertainty, voters are not looking for radical change. They just want a return to normal, or some semblance of that. They certainly are not looking for major social reform. They just want to get things back to normal before that. Now, Republicans are taking things too far when they start talking about, oh my God, the wild spending. All of the wild spending that happened during the Trump administration. Are you kidding me? Like, slow down, right? Slow down. Yes, Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot, but then don't y'all come out there lying. Like, what? Spending money? Are you serious? Trump spent more money than anybody. And Republicans didn't say squat. Now, all of a sudden, and then what did Trump spend money on? Not the people. Spend money on his donors. Rich folks. Now, the Biden administration, they're talking about spending money on, regular people and donors, but regular folks too. That's how they're promoting this. But like defund the police, or any number of Republican misnamed agendas, they have focused for too long on the price tag. Now, Republicans want to focus on the price tag because they don't want to talk about what is being done to help people. They want to zoom in on the price of it because that's a negative. And Democrats have fallen into that trap of just talking about, oh, it's all right, it's paid for. We got to pay for it. They're going back and forth about that. And then the story becomes how much it costs and not what it is. But voters are open to, slight changes, but not what they call wholesale changes. This is what you can read from the election in Virginia, the loss in Virginia. It was a sad day for Democrats because it forced them to look at themselves. Now, we're going to talk about this. The infrastructure bill was passed over the weekend. Now, had this bill that has been long talked about, long rumored, the long-running infrastructure conversation, if that happens a week before the election, do we have a different result in Virginia? Do we have a Democrat in Virginia as the governor? Possibly. But I don't know if it's just one thing, if it's just this bill. There has been no bill. There was no traction with voting rights. Republicans have made traction. The abortion, debacle and all that kind of stuff. But what have Democrats done other than fuss? You got the progressives talking trash. Oh, they don't want to take responsibility for anything. They're like, what? An election? If an election happened and the type of swing in the point structure that Biden enjoyed back in November of 2020 versus now, if you think that is the result of us not passing one bill, you're right, they don't take any responsibility. It's not just that you didn't pass one bill. You didn't pass anything of note. All you've done is screw things up and argue amongst yourselves. Right? Get nothing done. The Republicans seem to be able to cause confusion, and it seems like they're getting something done. At least they are successfully hindering Democratic progress, small d, progress. You had the debacle with the military. Let's not forget about that. It was just over the summer, trying to pull the troops out of the longest war. What about that? It just seemed like the Democrats have been in office and have just been screwing up and screwing up and screwing up and screwing up. And then you have an election, and then you get some results that are surprising in some instances. In New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy squeaked out a closer than expected win. On one hand. Then on the other hand, they say he wasn't expected to win because they don't normally win re-election. You can't have it both ways, right? You can't have it both ways. But progressive politicians and causes also suffered losses. They also suffered losses. In Buffalo, Democratic Socialist India Walton lost to incumbent Mayor Byron Brown after he mounted a write-in campaign when he lost the Democratic primary to Walton earlier this year. That shows you how the tide turns. This is a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist, that kind of crap that Bernie Sanders talks. So, the other thing that was really big that to me didn't make sense, and that was the whole defund the police thing. There was a ballot measure to scrap the Minneapolis Police Department in favor of a revamped public safety agency. This failed miserably. Defund the police advocates getting punched in the mouth, basically. Punched in the mouth. That measure defeated. So I gotta ask again, did Democrats misread where the public sits on vaccine mandates and mask mandates? Yes, you want to protect people, yes. But there's a certain way you gotta do these things. Especially in an election year. Which this was, an election year. So you got to watch that. You got to watch that. The jury is still out on that. Jury's still out. Just tuning in, it's your man Don McKay in here. The Don McKay Show, of course, on the all-new radioonfire.com. I am here daily giving you my spin, my thoughts on the news stories of the day. And as I said at the top of the show, it is a lot of news going on. You want to support the Diamond K Show and this digital network that we call Radio on Fire? Head on over to radioonfire.com, grab a t-shirt or some other merch, become a sponsor of the show for as little as $50. The Diamond K Show brought to you in part by jstoverbeauty.com. I want to talk directly to my ladies out there. If you are looking for those must-have beauty products, look no further than jstoverbeauty.com. They have quality wigs, Indian hair extensions, virgin hair extensions, professional hair care products, edge control, flat iron mist, mink eyelashes, satin wig bags, wax sticks, lace concealer, lace tint, and so much more. jstoverbeauty.com does custom wig making, maintenance, and revamp services. You can check them out on social media, jstoverbeauty on Instagram or jstoverbeauty LLC on Facebook. Be a girl with mind, a woman with attitude, and a lady with class. Visit jstoverbeauty.com. So, we're talking about the, Democrats, and I gotta call it like their inability to read the room. You talk about people that are not able to read the room. Like, something's going on, but they cannot seem to read the room. Not a good thing. But one good thing, I guess I could say for Democrats, they did pass the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. The actual cost of this bill, price tag, it varies. But the House passed a $1.2 trillion bill. But did not vote on a much larger, sweeping climate and social spending measure as originally planned. The result was a major step forward for President Biden's agenda. But at the same time, progressives who have long pushed for the two bills to be tied together, they took a blow. Progressives have just been catching it. They were able to get a commitment from House moderates to vote for the spending measure by November 15th. Although the pledge came with an important caveat. The now successful infrastructure bill passed the House on a bipartisan basis, 228 to 206, with 13 Republicans voting in favor. The legislation was a compromise between a bipartisan group of lawmakers. This is something that you don't see all the time, but it includes major investments in roads, water quality, bridges, broadband. It's known as BIF, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Framework. So since members from both parties have backed it, and because it has already passed the Senate, now it heads to President Biden's desk to become law. So I guess now we can bring out the confetti and celebrate. No, things are, that's a major victory, and I'm sure that he's going to send his folks, President Biden is going to send his folks on a tour, a whole media tour, talking about the achievements that they have reached with this bill. I'm sure that that's what's going to happen. So the $1.75 trillion social spending bill, dubbed the BBB, the Build Back Better Act, did not receive a vote. And it will not be heading to the Senate. It contains historic funding for early childhood education and climate, as well as some key health reforms. House action follows a chaotic year of back and forth over the two votes. Progressives demanded that votes for the two bills, the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the social spending package, be linked together. And the progressives are coming at this from the standpoint of, we always link bills together. We always put different priority bills together. Why won't y'all do that now? And, you got some people saying, no, we're not going to do that. We don't want to do that. We don't actually want to help people. No. It's irresponsible to help people. And progressives don't understand how to play this game. Progressives don't seem to understand how to get things done. Progressives only know one way, like make a whole lot of noise. But you have all these other politicians that do things the sneaky way. And if progressives want to be successful, they're going to have to understand and accept how politics in America work. And if you are a politician in America, progressive or not, you should understand how politics works. But progressives seemingly always are ending up on the losing side of things, whether it's Bernie Sanders losing twice, whether they're trying to, get rid of all the police. Like, they're just losing because they don't know how to market. They don't know how to play this game. So, anyway, the House action, it's chaos, it's confusion. The progressives got their panties in a bunch. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has decided to keep the infrastructure vote on the books and delay the vote on the Build Back Better Act until lawmakers could get more information. Sadly, for the progressives and for Americans, what the progressives voiced they thought would happen, meaning that it wouldn't get voted on, it is happening. They knew that was going to happen, and it is happening. And I am sure that is a frustrating reality for progressives. They feel like they got jerked around. They feel like they were lied to, and they were. But such is life. That's what it is. And they've got to learn whether, they have some numbers, I think 90, whatever the numbers that they have, that's cool and all of that, but it wasn't enough. And the progressive leader sold you out. So you got all that to deal with if you are a progressive Democrat. Here on the show, we deliver the biggest political and trending news stories of the day with interviews and original reporting from across this country, emanating from our studios in Baltimore and Atlanta. Show is fun, show is upbeat. But I gotta get to it, man. On social media, I'm at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire, and we have a lot of things to get into. So, the Biden administration they're dealing with a lot, right? They're dealing with a lot, and with a victory comes a setback, and another setback, another victory. But the United States is steadily chopping away at vaccine hesitancy. COVID numbers cases are going down. Hospitalizations are going down to the point that schools, governments, and corporations are actually lifting mask restrictions yet again. Have we been here before? Nearly 200 million Americans are fully vaccinated, and the nation's over 65 population, which really bore the brunt of the pandemic when it started nearly 2 years ago, does it seem like that long? Is enthusiastically embracing vaccines. What the government said they wanted to happen has been and is happening. Nearly 98% of the over 65 population has received at least one COVID-19 shot, and more than 25% of them have gotten boosters. It hasn't even been that long since they were authorized. They are on it. So what does that mean? The metrics have improved. And Joe Biden's workplace mandate, which was unveiled last Thursday, you have the launch of COVID-19 shots in elementary age kids, 5 to 11 group. This is all the stuff that they said that they wanted. Seniors are also playing a role in getting other family members vaccinated. So everything seems to be going the way they want it to go, right? But the pandemic has a track record that indicates that it is hard to control. In the U.S., the winter is coming. Diseases like COVID-19 often spread easier with people indoors and closer together, and that's what happens when it gets cold. The worst surge in the nation, remember, happened last winter before the vaccines were widely available. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we have another surge that could be coming? Absolutely. Absolutely. It could come. So while we want to ease things up, we got to keep the other eye on the fact that we are entering into a very difficult time. We're entering into a very difficult time, potentially difficult time. But President Biden is pushing forward with a massive plan to require millions of private sector employees to get vaccinated by early next year. However, he first has to make sure that workers in his own federal government get the shot. So you have that about 4 million federal workers are to be vaccinated by the 22nd of November under Biden's executive order. So they just have a couple of weeks. Some employees, like those at the White House, are nearly all vaccinated. Now, the rates are lower at other federal agencies, particularly those related to law enforcement. Now, according to the agencies and the union leaders, there is some resistance. Some of those workers are digging in, filing lawsuits and protesting what they say is unfair overreach by the White House. So the upcoming deadline is the first test of Biden's push to compel people to get vaccinated. The power of the president compels you, right? He's trying to force folks to do this. So beyond the federal worker rule, another mandate will take effect in January, aimed at around 84 million private sector workers. And this is, of course, to guidelines that were put out last week, according to AP News. A federal appeals court in Louisiana temporarily halted the vaccine requirement for businesses with 100 or more workers. The administration says it is confident that the requirement will withstand legal challenges, in part because its safety rules preempt state laws. So the president and the administration wouldn't have put these requirements in place if they didn't think they were appropriate and necessary, the Surgeon General said on Sunday's edition of ABC This Week. Said that the administration is certainly prepared to defend them. So this is going to be this back and forth thing. If the mandates are a success, they could make the most serious dent in new coronavirus cases since the vaccine first became available. So, of course, I'm optimistic about this, but at the same time, this legal speed bump that the Democrats and President Biden are facing right now is something that they have to contend with. It's only 2 weeks remaining until the federal worker deadline that we talked about on the 22nd. Some leaders of unions representing the employees say that convincing the unvaccinated to change their minds is extremely, extremely challenging. And, you know, when we talk about unvaccinated and we talk about hesitancy of folk, I mean, the main person that comes to mind for me is Aaron Rodgers. The, soon, Hall of Fame, the future Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers. You see him on commercials. You've seen him playing for the Packers for years. For years. So he obviously missed the game against the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday due to COVID-19 protocols. He has COVID-19. And on Friday, he was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said that he contracted COVID-19 and said that he is unvaccinated against the virus. This revelation has prompted a lot of criticism, a lot of folks calling him out, a lot of folks on the right supporting him. He announced back in August that he was immunized. Member of the media said, "Are you vaccinated?" He said, "Yes, I am immunized." Immunized. He also said that he is in the crosshairs of the woke mob over his vaccination status. And he said that the media is on a witch hunt to find out which players are vaccinated. Witch hunt. One of Donald Trump's favorite words. Oh, this is a witch hunt. That's a witch hunt. This is a witch hunt. So, this is a huge error by a man who has transcended football and wants to have a career, whether it was hosting Jeopardy or other parts of our culture. So why make this move? Why do this? I mean, maybe he wants to work future at Fox News because they definitely loving him right now. Rodgers says that he did not get vaccinated because he has an allergy to an ingredient in the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine and was scared about possible side effects from the J&J vaccine. So, unvaccinated players in the NFL, unvaccinated players, are tested daily, even on off days. And they have to wear masks indoors. Aaron Rodgers wasn't doing he wasn't wearing masks indoors. Now, vaccinated players are tested weekly. So, Rodgers has just been doing whatever he wants to do with his conservative views and his QAnon views. So, can he face a fine? So you have Colin Kaepernick takes a knee for social justice, and he's just banned from the league for life. Then you have Aaron Rodgers, who lies about his vaccination status, potentially endangers folks. He's not wearing a mask at games. He's seen at some Halloween party, no mask, all kind of crazy stuff, right? And he's taken controversial medication that he heard about on Joe Rogan's podcast, should he face fines? Should he be suspended? Should he be fired? I don't know. But failure by the NFL to properly enforce the protocols has resulted in discipline being assessed against individuals. It seems like it is something that they just do when they feel like it. When they feel like it. The fines of an unvaccinated player for breaching their COVID-19 protocols can be steep. Now, Aaron Rodgers can afford it, of course. Gathering outside of a team facility or team travel in groups of more than 3 players can result in a fine of just under $15,000. Engaging in in-person meetings, practices, and training activities outside of team facilities with other players or staff is also punishable by this fine, which is actually $14,650. Attending an indoor nightclub and indoor bar, the bar and nightclub must both have more than 10 people, a house gathering of more than 15 people, an indoor concert, or some other sporting event, unless the player is seated in a separated section and as a suite or owner's box is wearing PPE. And there are no more than 10 people in that separate seating section. All without wearing protective masks are punishable with this $14,650 fine. Refusal to submit to testing as that's a $50,000 fine, while repeat offenders of any of the protocols will be subjected to increased discipline, according to the NFL. I know that at least 2 of these things Aaron Rodgers did, but look, he can afford it, right? He don't care, clearly. Rodgers could be fined by the NFL, but it's a little slap on the wrist. I mean, he could also be suspended. The odds are that it will be more the Packers that are looked at, and they're probably going to be the ones to get the fine. Probably not Aaron Rodgers. Probably not. So, what are your thoughts? Should Aaron Rodgers be suspended? Should he be fired? Should he be sat down? How much should he be fined? Should he be fined at all? Some people don't think he needs to be fined at all. Some people think everything is all good. I mean, it's his choice. The right, the QAnon conspiracy folks, they are all over this, and they are singing the praises of Aaron Rodgers right now. Singing his praises. But speaking of, NFL, Odell Beckham Jr., he has been, very talented, very controversial, big distraction. So the NFL and the Players Association have approved the restructured contract of Odell Beckham Jr. And that's going to allow the star wide receiver to go on waivers Monday and be claimed by 4 p.m. the next day. Beckham does not want to go to just any team. Beckham wants to spend the rest of this season with a playoff contender and in a winning environment where he believes he would be happy and productive. He's such a prima donna. I mean, basically, his time with Cleveland, he did nothing. Now, keep in mind, I mean, he didn't throw the ball to him, so he was not set up to be successful. If a team does not fit this criteria, according to Beckham, and the $7.25 million remaining on his contract, there could be potential issues for that team. I mean, who wants to sign this guy? I don't know. But as it stands, 9 teams have over $7.25 million in salary cap space. That is the Jaguars, the Eagles, the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Panthers, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Bengals, and Washington. So whether or not Odell Beckham Jr. is going to end up on any of those teams, who knows? Should Beckham clear waivers, which multiple team executives said over the weekend is the likely outcome, he would be able to sign with any team. So, who knows? The Browns excused him from practice this week while they negotiated his exit, which was finalized on his 29th birthday. The general manager of the Cleveland Browns called the situation unfortunate, but acknowledged there are some situations in the NFL where things just don't quite work out. This, of course, is one of those instances, and of course, ESPN reporting all of this. Not sure what's going to happen there. You have some players who are super talented. Odell Beckham Jr. is one of those players. Super talented. But also, he just doesn't seem like he's happy. Like he's never happy. They can never get him to the point where he is satisfied. So when you have somebody like that in your midst, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this goes. I don't know if he's going to be able to go anywhere unless it's his father's team. But his father don't have no team. I mean, just somewhere where they're just going to just bend over backwards for him. I don't know. I don't know if I would want him in my locker room, considering how he rolls. I don't know. So both of my teams victorious this week. Baltimore Ravens in overtime over the Minnesota Vikings, 34-31. It was a nail biter there. Nail biter, but Justin Tucker kicking the ball 36 yards in overtime, and also the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Saints. So all was good with regards to football. Canelo victorious over the weekend, with an 11th round knockout. But we're going to talk about some bad stuff. Some bad stuff that happened in Houston. So there was screaming, suffocating, panic, unconsciousness. Concert goers at the highly anticipated Houston Music Festival Friday night say that they were shocked to witness how the event just fell into pandemonium. It left at least 8 people dead at a concert. Rapper Travis Scott was the headliner for this sold-out Astro World Festival at NRG Park. It was an estimated 50,000 people there. So there was chaos, and they're still trying to understand exactly what happened. Just a sad thing. So it was. I mean, you've been to rap concerts before, right? Or you've been to a concert before, and you know how things can get frenzied, how the energy level can increase or decrease based on whether the artist is coming out or where they are, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, this situation is something that I'm assuming could have been avoided. We have at least eight people dead, many injured. So what happened is that the crowd surged at this Travis Scott Astroworld Festival in Houston. So it was a densely packed crowd. Then they rushed toward the stage and were crushed against each other at this music festival. It is just a sad thing. The victims, 14, 16, 2 were 21, 2 were 23, and 1 was 27 years old. Sad thing. One of the victims' ages is still unknown. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner announced in a news conference Saturday evening, there are no people reported missing. At least 25 people were transported to the hospital, and of those, 13 remain hospitalized, at least Saturday night. 5 of them under the age of 18 years old. A lot of unanswered questions. So, of course, police investigating. Could take several days, could take several weeks, could be even longer than that. They're going to look at this in depth. Try to figure out why it took place, what steps can be done moving forward to mitigate an incident like this occurring. It is just sad. Like I said, 50,000 people. This was a sold-out event. Sold-out event. Incident began just after 9 p.m. Central, 12 midnight on the East Coast. Video from the event showed Travis Scott on an outdoor stage. Rapper and event organizer Travis Scott paused and looked on in confusion as an ambulance with flashing lights moved into the densely packed crowd. Once Travis Scott started, all hell broke loose, one concert goer told us to CNN. All of what is to be 50,000 people ran to the front, compressing everyone together with the little air available. There were mosh pits in every section. This was something that was supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be a time that people enjoyed, and it turned out to be deadly. The company responsible for organizing the event, which is Live Nation, issued a statement saying that they were heartbroken for those lost and impacted. We will continue working to provide as much information and assistance as possible to the local authorities as they investigate the situation, Live Nation said. People there described being increasingly squeezed in the minutes before Scott's performance began. There was some type of a countdown clock. Folks started running to the stage, of course, because they wanted to see. Travis Scott is a major rapper right now. And, people getting hurt, people passing out, people bleeding, crying, everything was happening. People just went berserk. One person said, 22 years old, said that I realized that people were dying. The crowd, for whatever reason, began to push and surge towards the front of the stage, which caused people in the front to be compressed. People began to fall out, become unconscious. This is not what is supposed to be happening. All in all, more than 300 people treated at Field Hospital. Set something up near the festival. One of the patients in the hospital was 10 years old. 10 years old. Definitely, my prayers go out to the families of those impacted by what happened at Astroworld's festival. I mean, you had members of the crowd attempting CPR on injured folks. People rushed through the gates hours earlier. And 3 were trampled at an event 2 years ago. They have to really figure out a better way to handle these festivals. This cannot happen. I mean, hip hop is so popular. And because it's popular, you have got to expect that you're going to have these crowds. And B, have a way to prevent crowd surges. And when the artists do things to hype in the crowd up, you have got to be prepared for what's going to happen, what can happen, what we have seen happen. This isn't the first time. Said 2 years ago, few people. Now, few more killed, many more injured. This is a serious thing. Definitely, my hearts go out. Thoughts and prayers to the families of those. And I want to see Travis Scott come out and handle this in a responsible way. Jermaine Diamond K in here. Of course, you can follow the Diamond K Show on our Facebook page. Click the bell icon to get notified when I go live. The Diamond K Show is a Radio on Fire production. You can get this show on demand at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, WRF Radio app, youtube.com/DJ Diamond K, and anywhere that you get podcasts. The Diamond K Show, of course, is part of this digital network we call Radio on Fire. Head on over, grab a t-shirt or some other merch, radioonfire.com. Become a sponsor of the Diamond K Show for as little as $50. I'm able to deliver our news and our views on this program because of our listeners and sponsors. Radio on Fire is powered by the people, and we appreciate your support. So over the weekend, I had an opportunity to listen to the near 2-hour interview with Kanye West on the Drink Champs. So it was an interesting interview, and Kanye West, now just known as Ye, interesting. In this interview, he often referred to Kim Kardashian as his wife, and it doesn't seem like he wanted to break up. I'm not sure if or what's going to happen there. Kanye is a talented producer, rapper, fashion designer, business person, talented in all of those. Kanye says he wants to be together with his ex, Kim Kardashian. She is still my wife. That's what he said. The Drink Champ interview broke viewership records for Revolt. Kanye West, it was unfiltered. It was unfiltered. The black-owned multimedia platform Revolt TV shout out to them. This was a great get for them. Kanye West's conversation with Nori and DJ FN spanned 2.5 hours, had 3 million views in its first 12 hours, which is the most views Revolt TV has had for a single episode to date, according to the company. The interview, which aired on cable and dropped on Revolt's website and YouTube channel Thursday evening, also quickly became the #1 trending topic on Twitter. It was a good interview. And Nori and FN, they don't normally do good interviews because they normally cut people off. Not EFN, but Nori. He normally cuts people off. And he usually doesn't do any research. So sometimes he just blatantly, randomly yell out something that's wrong, or it's just, you know what I mean, all over the place. And some of this is because they're drinking and smoking, and Nori is just not a research type of person. But Revolt's long partnership with the Drink Champs is a perfect example that we are more powerful together when we use our platforms to control our narrative and give the voices shaping our culture the freedom to create unapologetically. The chief brand officer of Comb Enterprises said to Variety, Nori and DJ FN continue to be proven leaders in this space and deserve to be acknowledged in this moment for creating a program that every power player in hip-hop has to visit. This show is on track to be the most viewed hip-hop interview of all time. Wow. That is major. That is major. And it's really no surprise that the viewership skyrocketed. In the interview, let's keep in mind, Kanye West usually doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's usually very elusive. I mean, he was smoking, he was drinking, he was talking, he was shooting from the hip. Covered a bunch of controversial topics. Talked about his divorce from Kim Kardashian, his never-ending beef with Drake, a decision to feature Marilyn Manson and DaBaby on his new album, latest album, Donda. Talked about Soulja Boy and why he wasn't on the album. Big Sean, he had a lot of words for Talib Kweli. Talked about Jay-Z. Talked about Versus. Talked about Nas being his favorite rapper. Busta Rhymes rapping very, very good. Talked about Dame Dash. And talked about his father. I mean, it was a lot. There was a lot there. And I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's a good interview. Kanye comes out every now and then and really talks that talk. And he talked about this crazy looking haircut that he has. And you know, Kanye is just one of those folks. He is still a factor in this game. Before we get out of here, I definitely want to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. It's going into its second week. A man who suffered a severe arm injury when he was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse during a night of protest against racial injustice is expected to testify this week as the prosecutors near the end of their case in this murderer's trial. So Rittenhouse is 18 years old and is charged with shooting and fatally shooting multiple people. He is a one-time police youth cadet. So he went to Kenosha with an AR-style rifle and a medical kit in what he said was an effort to safeguard property. Not his property, just property. He just wanted to shoot somebody. So these demonstrations took place and broke out over the shooting of Jacob Blake. You remember, a black man shot by a white Kenosha police officer. Rittenhouse, of course, is white, as are the three men he shot. But the case has raised polarizing questions about racial justice, policing, firearms, and white privilege. White privilege is on full display in this Rittenhouse trial. Prosecutors played numerous videos that showed the events of the night from different angles. Jurors heard testimony from people who were with Rittenhouse, as well as from police officers and loved ones of the men who died. Men who died. And I mean, it's just unbelievable that you have people defending this guy. Prosecutors have portrayed Rittenhouse as the instigator of the bloodshed, as well as an inexperienced teen who misrepresented his age and medical training to others. That night, his lawyer, Rittenhouse's lawyer, has argued that he acted in self-defense. Are you kidding me? He suggested, this is the attorney, suggested that among other things, Rittenhouse feared his weapon would be taken and used against him. The prosecution suffered a potential blow when it was disclosed that one of the victims, I guess, has bipolar disorder and depression, and he hadn't filled his prescription because the local pharmacy was boarded up due to the unrest. Information Rittenhouse's lawyers could use in their bid to portray one of the victims as the aggressor. Pretty sure that they're going to do that. So on the day that he was killed, Rosenbaum, this is the fiance, disclosed that the gentleman was bipolar. But on the day that he was killed by Rittenhouse, he had been released from a Milwaukee hospital. So you see how they're going to portray this. The jury was told that much, but not why he was admitted, which was a suicide attempt. So his killing has emerged as one of the most crucial moments that night because it set into motion the bloodshed that followed moments later. Rittenhouse shot and killed a 26-year-old protester seen on a bystander video hitting Rittenhouse with a skateboard. Rittenhouse then wounded another person. If convicted, Rittenhouse could get life in prison. The case that has stirred furious debate over self-defense, vigilantism, the right to bear arms, and the racial unrest that erupted around this country after the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis and many other similar cases. This is something that we're definitely following, something that is going to be watched. I'm not even sure if there could be a major reaction to this case when the verdict is handed down. That's how concerned about this case that I am. That's how concerned I am. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire, of course. You can hit me up also, DJ Diamond K at gmail.com. You want to support The Diamond K Show and this digital network? Head on over to radioonfire.com, grab a t-shirt or some other merch. Become a sponsor of this program for as low as $50. New episodes of the Diamond K Show drop Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., but I don't want you to miss any of our live broadcasts. In addition to our 8 a.m. program, we drop content throughout the day as news happens. Hit that notification bell so you get an alert whenever we go live. The Diamond K Show is sponsored by Flyers on Fire. If you need a flyer created, Flyers on Fire can design your quality digital flyer in 24 hours. Are you promoting something on social media? Flyers on Fire can help brand your message with a quality flyer. Visit them on Instagram at Flyers on Fire, also on Facebook, Flyers on Fire. So, the 10th Annual Baltimore Music Awards results for that, radioonfire.com/Baltimore Music Awards. We'll be back here tomorrow with the program. Definitely want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I will see you guys tomorrow.
It's time to turn up with the On Fire Mix Show, featuring DJ Diamond K. Right now on radioonfire.com.